What's up, Real Estate Maverick? Chris Crone here, and today we're talking about how to buy real estate with bad credit or with no credit. Like seriously, how do you make it go down? I've done it thousands of times, and I'm gonna show you right now how.
'Cause we're gonna be legends. What we're doing here ain't just scary. It's about to be legendary.
All right, what's up, my friend? So what I wanna do today is I wanna talk about how you go on to actually buy real estate if you have bad credit, if you don't, maybe you just have credit that you can't use. In fact, there's different reasons, and I wanna start with that. What are some of the reasons why people actually can't get a loan? One of them might be, and I'm gonna put some of these on the board here for you. Some of it comes down to number one, you might have had a job in an industry for less than 2 years. So when a bank actually does a loan with you, they actually want to do that for someone that they think has future potential of having the same earning power, which means if you've had a job for 2 years, or if you've had to switch job, but it's been in the same industry, you're gonna be good to go. So I think that's something that's really important. Reason number two, why you actually might have a hard time actually getting a loan, it could be that you're on commission and you don't have enough stable income. And banks, they prejudice that stuff. So they might literally say, we're actually not gonna give you a loan for that reason alone. The third reason that people sometimes can't get a loan is because they actually have bad credit. Now, this is something that if you don't know this, I wanna help you understand this. You need to know that if you ever have your credit used on a payment for a car or a credit card or whatever, if you miss a payment, you need to treat that like it's liquid death. Like, my whole credit will get ruined if I am late on a payment or I don't make a payment. That is actually going to roast your duck and hurt you. The good news is that we can fix that and you're gonna be okay, but it can take months and years to actually get credit where you want it to be if you're doing it organically versus actually hiring someone. So I guess the first rule that you wanna be aware of is do everything in your power to avoid getting bad credit in any way, shape, or form by missing a payment. If you miss a payment, do everything you can to fix it and rectify it and get credit repair, because your credit has value if you're using it to invest. Now, you've got credit, either your commission job or you haven't had a job long enough, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, I actually can't use my credit anymore to actually buy a house, so I guess I can't invest. Listen very carefully. When I was 26 years old, I graduated college and I became financially free. And that's because I had every excuse in the world to fail, but I refused to give up. So literally when I was a young, dumb college kid, I made the choice that I was going to figure out how to buy real estate. And even though it took me just over a year to get my first house, I'll tell you my circumstances. I didn't have bad credit, I had underdeveloped credit. Here's what underdeveloped credit means. Number four, you might actually have to develop your credit. And how you develop it is you need to get a minimum of 2 or preferably 3 trade lines, which means you've got to get 2 or 3 credit cards. Now, if mom and dad have said credit cards are bad or evil or we're scared that you're going to use them irresponsibly, listen, get a credit card. I don't care if it has a $200 limit. Use it and then pay it off every month. You do that for 2 years and the bank says, you know what? This person has a history of being responsible with credit. So I actually had to develop my credit. My first game plan to get my first house, it was a 14-month process. Now, in this video, I'm actually gonna give you an ultimate shortcut. And I actually shot another video that you're gonna really appreciate at the end of this. It'll show up in this corner over here that will show you how you can move forward on buying a home that doesn't even take any money, doesn't even take any credit. But before I do that, here was my 14-month process. I had only had a credit card for 10 months. And they said you needed 2 years. And by the way, I needed more credit cards. So I had 2 credit cards. I got a third one. And I would rack them up a little bit and I would pay them off every single month. I never kept any of that debt on there. And over 14 months, I also saved up $5,000 because buying a primary residence and a 3.5% down payment required $5,000, a little less than that for purchasing my first house. So literally the 14 months before buying my first investment property, all I was doing was using a credit card, paying it off, and then being a good saver. That's it. Those are the only 2 things. And you know what? That was enough for 14 months later for me to get my first house. By the way, I got turned down by multiple banks and I finally found one that said fine. In fact, the bank that I had been using since I was 16 years old turned me down. Do not get discouraged. Do not let anyone tell you what you can or can't do. Never take advice from your bank account. Never take advice from your credit score. This is not who you are. It's not your financial identity. It's just a circumstance that you find yourself in. If you made a mistake, learn your lessons and commit to change. But in the meantime, let me give you the hack on how you can actually buy a house if you don't have good credit, or usable credit, I should say. This is something I do on a regular basis. I want to tell you how I developed this strategy, and then I'm going to break it down for you. Very first time I got stuck where I wanted to buy a house and I couldn't use credit, I had already bought a few homes myself. My father-in-law, Matt, had used his credit to buy a bunch of homes. And once he got about 10 homes on his credit, the banks were like, hey, you make good money, your real estate is profitable, but guess what? We don't have a program that'll get you an 11th or 12th or 13th home. And we're like, dude, we're slaying it. What do you mean that you won't let us have more homes? We want more homes. And so what I did is, listen, I'm not getting this from any program. I kid you not. I actually made this crap up. But I did my due diligence and I found out that it is totally legal and kosher. What I basically did is I said, hey, Matt, you've got the money for buying the next house. I have the ability to find the next house and manage it. So all we're really missing is someone's credit. And what we basically decided to do was rent somebody's credit. I want to show you what renting credit actually looks like. Check this out. I went to some buddies of mine and I said, hey, I will pay you $2,000 cash if you'll allow me to use your credit. What we're going to do then when we actually go to sell the house, which will probably be, I don't know, let's call it 5 years later, we're also going to give you additionally 5% of the proceeds that we make off of the sale. So no cash flow along the way. They actually got to pick up some tax benefits because it was on their credit and we let them carry some of that. But these three things. So I went to a bunch of buddies and I basically said, let me use your credit. And then afterwards, once all three of them were pre-qualified, they had good jobs, they had good credit, good FICO score, and banks said yes to all of them. We went out then and we bought our next slew of homes. Well, when we bought the house, we just said, here's $2,000 that we're giving you. When we sell the home, we're going to give you 5% of proceeds, which, by the way, we have since sold those homes and we did that. They picked up tax benefits along the way. And guess what? They literally made money for just having good jobs and good credit. One of them bought 3 houses. And on average, the 5% of proceeds of profits meant an extra $2, $3, $4 grand. So they were making an average of $5,000, $6,000 per home that we bought. One of them bought 3 homes and made $18,000 just for being creditworthy. Can you imagine that for a moment? Like, how cool is that? That's pretty bomb. By the way, if you're watching this and you have a good job for the last 2 years, if you spend less than you earn, if you're a good saver, and maybe you're putting away in a 401k or IRA and you've got great credit, there's a form below on this page and you can basically say, hey, Chris, I would love to make $18,000 and helping you buy 3 houses. If that's interesting to you, you'll find a form below, but that's really neither here nor there. That's just a side thing. The point that I wanted to make for you today is that there's always a way to get what you want. If the deal is profitable, if the deal makes sense, it's all about how you put yourself out there so that you can make it happen. And you know what? It's amazing to me. I can give you how-to strategies all day long, but you know what? Knowing the how is not what's going to make this happen. It's a part of the equation. The biggest part of the equation is the real estate between your 2 ears, which is how do you feel about something? When I rented someone's credit for the first time, I was scared, I was nervous, but it has made me millions of dollars. And so you've got to ask yourself, most people won't have the level of success they want in life because they're too scared to do what it takes or they don't have the discipline to act. And you need to understand this. Execution is everything. If you're not executing, if you're not taking action, you're not going to get the benefit of the thing that you want. What separates most successful investors from investors that never get off the ground is action. In watching today's video, I have prepared another video for you that I believe is going to help you take action. In fact, I documented exactly how I made my first $1.6 million, and then I created a series on how I partner with people. So by the way, if you're watching this and you're like, you know what, Chris? I've actually got some money saved up, and I'm interested in what it would look like to partner with you and access the best deals in the best markets. And whether you have good credit or whether you don't have good credit at all, I have the solution already built in for you and a team that'll do all the work for you. If that's interesting, I created a series called Partnering. And the first video is what's showing up right over here. I want you to connect and watch that video And what it'll do is it'll show you what it looks like to actually partner with me. I partner with people all over the world. I help them buy real estate. I solve their financial problems. I solve their creditworthiness problems. And we go out there and we freaking crush it in the game of real estate. So if that connects with you, if that's useful for you, then watch that video next, because that's where I'm going to give you the next steps of how you buy real estate, regardless of good or bad credit. Hey, thank you so much for watching today. Do me a favor, like this video. I want you to smash that like video. If you do, it tells the YouTube algorithm that Chris has some content that's actually useful. And if you agree with that, hit that like button. You're actually doing me a favor. If you're not a subscriber, take care of that right now. And I will look forward to capturing you on tomorrow's video or this one playing right now.